Thank you for joining us for Public Safety Echo. The Public Safety Echo project is the world's first of its kind effort to use the Echo model to address safety issues by bringing residents, workers, and businesses together in an online, social, and professional space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. In weekly sessions, Public Safety Echo teaches skills, educates partners in different aspects of a healthy community, and empowers community members.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Downtown Public Safety Echo. I am your coordinator, Darryl DeLoach. Unfortunately, again, we are without officers today because they're out doing officer stuff. And, you know, it's that time of year, everyone's sort of focused on other things, the holidays and stuff. So, I'm here by myself, except I do have a guest. I'll let him introduce himself real quick. Go ahead, Mark.
My name's Mark Martinez. I'm a local resident of Albuquerque, lived here my whole life. I'm an author, and I'm here hopefully to speak on how some good officers, some good people in this town actually saved my life because I was homeless and on the streets. And hopefully I can share my experience, strength, and hope with people to know that there is hope and there is a way out.
Thanks, Mark. That was a good introduction. Yeah, and we will let the people in the audience here. It's our friend Jerry there. I want to say hello.
You're trying to say the riffraff?
No, I was.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bowe. I live in the Historic District. I'm retired transit analyst, and I'm also on the board of the Prostate Cancer Support Association of New Mexico after going through prostate cancer last year and doing well.
Very good. Always good to have you. And then I see I was looking for some new faces on the call to say hello. Dennis, I don't recognize you. You want to just tell us who you are and where you joined us from?
Sure. I've attended other ECHO meetings, but my name is Dennis Tafoya. I'm a commander here at University of New Mexico Police Department, and I'm looking at the people on, and I know a good group of them.
Good. Let me see who else is there. I see James from Silver Hill is there. I got Jenny from ACS and Laura, Brittany from APD. Great. Thank you for joining us. Our friend Mike is here. So let's please turn on our cameras. ECHO is all about all teach, all learn, and we hope you plan to participate fully. Please take a minute to type your name, organization, and email in the chat, especially if you don't have a camera or mic. But be sure your mic is muted until you are ready to speak. The Downtown Public Safety ECHO's goal is to increase safety by bringing residents, workers, visitors, and businesses together in an online social space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. Any views expressed by police officers or participating city officials are not meant to give legal advice and are only meant to educate, provide insight into the discussion. As we're saying, today's presentation is by our friend Mark, who has joined us here. He's going to talk to us about his journey and a place, the Heights Club as well, that's part of that journey. What I also want to do before we get started is just remind people that in the new year, our plan is to move to the iEcho platform, and I'm just concerned and want to make sure that people are aware of how to register and to make sure that you're receiving the notifications and able to be part of the Echoes in the new year. So real quick, I'm just going to share my screen to show you what the web page is going to look like, where you'll land. Right here is the page, and what I'll do is I'll drop that into the chat. But here's the page that you'll drop into, and right here under the picture of the little lowrider there, you can click on register, and that'll allow you to register for the upcoming sessions that will happen in the new year. I just want to make sure that everyone's familiar with that as it happens. So I will make sure to drop that link into the chat to give you an opportunity to just look at the site and get familiar with it so that we can make sure everybody's available to join us in the new year. And let me drop that in the chat real quick. And I didn't have any specific announcements today, but since I have a nice group of people here, I wanted to see if James or even Dennis, you're joining us from UNM. Do you have anything to announce to the people on the Zoom? Yeah, Rodney's there too. So I got a couple UNM folk.
Yeah, I'll defer to Rodney. He's working on some things that he has more insight.
Good. Okay. See how that worked, Rodney?
I do. That's what happens when you have good leadership.
All right.
So one of the things, first of all, I'm Rodney Bowe, and I am Campus Watch Coordinator with the UNM Police Department, and primarily facilitate dialogue, presentations, and training about safety, campus safety. One of the things that will be coming out in the spring is Lobo Lift, and that has been funded by ASUNM and the President's Office. And basically, it is an assist program to help people to get to their destinations. It's not an escort program, but it is if you need a ride somewhere on Central Campus, that will be it will be live on January the 20th. So stay tuned for more information about that. And when I do get more information about that, I'll send it out to Darryl.
Okay.
There's a lot of initiatives going on campus about safety. We're meeting daily with different departments on campus. As you know, the campus is divided into zones, and there is a zone captain. There's also, in each of those zones, there are designated buildings, and we're actually meeting and collaborating on how to augment campus safety. And so we'll keep you abreast of that as well. And lastly, we'll be putting out another Campus Watch newsletter, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And if you have something that you would like to put in there to address campus safety or to make us aware of, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, Rodney. And yeah, I'll follow up with you on that for the Nob Hill sessions as well. Get that information out.
Thank you, sir.
Indeed. Anyone else have anything to announce or any information you have going on you want to share with us? Laura? Yeah. What happened? She froze. Wait, what happened there?
I have a couple things, Darryl.
Oh, wait, you actually froze. I was like, yes, I saw you. I thought you froze in the screen. You were waiting for me. Yes,
I was
please.
waiting for you.
I was like,
The City of Albuquerque Department of Economic Development has once again opened its window grant for small businesses that have experienced vandalism between July 1st of this year and December 31st of this year. So if you know of anyone that has happened to, it reimburses up to 80% of the replacement cost of the window up to $3,000. And there's an additional $1,000 available if the replacement is eco-friendly or it has some kind of glazing or security window that's replaced. So there's additional information on the city website, and I'll drop that link into the chat.
fabulous.
And then we are having a coffee with a cop this weekend on Saturday that's sponsored by our South San Pedro Neighborhood Association. And it's going to be in one of their activated alleys that they've done a lot of work on with the kiddos from the different schools in the area, painting murals and things. So it will be in the 600 block of California Southeast, in the alley that is between Trumbull and Southern. and California and Dakota. And that's going to be Saturday from 11 to 12. So if you can stop by that, that would be great.
That sounds nice. Yeah, I've heard about the alley activations and like to see some of the art. That sounds nice to see what they've come up with there. I'll try to swing by on Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have something from ACS.
Yeah, Jenny, go ahead.
Hi. So we have our drive-in movies on November 15th on Saturday at the
Oh,
Balloon Fiesta Park at the East parking lot. Gates will open at 3 and the movie starts at 5. I believe the movie will be Freebird. I believe that's what the movie will be,
can,
but it
can,
is a free event.
oh,
So
okay. Can you give us a synopsis of the movie? I
no,
don't.
I don't. I see. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was like free. I thought it was Goonies, or was that the last one? Yeah.
I think that was the last one.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Jenny.
you.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's any more, and everyone else, I see James is chewing, and Mike, you don't have anything. Okay, so we're good. Where am I at here in my notes? I guess we can get right into our presentation, and I'll stop my phone from ringing. Addiction and substance abuse are at the center of a lot of difficulties we face in our community, whether it's drugs or alcohol. It takes a commitment and support to get better, and sometimes that's a hard thing to find, unless you have a place to find it.
Right?
And I have met Mark here, and he wanted to tell us about his story and how he found some of those things.
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, I just want to thank everybody who's here. But my story is basically this. 6 years ago, I was homeless on the streets, mentally ill in a psychosis that if I even told you, you guys wouldn't even believe half the stories that my mind was telling me. I was mentally ill, addicted to drugs, alcohol. Either I was on the street or I'd stay in one of those hotels that, they're closing down a lot of them and reopening. Yeah. But I was in a sick place. Here's the funny part about it, though, is I didn't even know I was sick. I thought it was normal to be living on the streets, doing drugs. You see these people that sit there and they yell at the telephone pole for getting in their way.
Yeah,
that was me.
Yeah,
that was me. I'd be out there crazy, I use the word crazy because that's the way I was. I was definitely out of control. I was stealing. This is stuff I'm not proud of either. I was stealing every day to support my habits. Shoplifting from somewhere every day. Walmart's, the Home Depots and everything like that to support my drug habit. And by the grace of God, though, I found a place called the Heights Club. And it's a place where they have 12-step meetings of different sorts. They have AA, NA, CA, Al-Anon, everything. And I walked in one day, and since that day, I haven't had a drink or a drug since. And it was because of the good people of Albuquerque, good people like some good police officers, some good judges that I made friends with throughout this time that really changed my perception on the way I look at Albuquerque and mainly our police force, and our judicial system. Because I was one who hated, and when I say hate, I hated the police. Yeah. I hated the police, but who knew? You stop committing crimes, they stop looking for you. So, but I truly did hate them. And judges, I thought that they were against me. Probation officers, but it was some good police officers and judges that helped me change my mind. And that's why I'm so grateful for coming on today, because I wanted to share a couple of those stories that made a difference in my life, and I think it could make a difference in other people's lives. My main point I want to get across today is that the people on the streets, because I still live in the international zone, I deal with these people all the time, and they don't even know they're sick. And I don't understand how our government, our people don't realize that these people don't even know they're sick. For me, I had to get away from the drugs and alcohol it took a good year before I even started to kind of going, oh, okay, I'm that kind of sick. You know, I have mental
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
Healthcare for the homeless. God bless them. They saved my life. I was
Yeah.
suicidal one day, and I went there, and they saved my life. But
Yeah.
I don't know what part of that you would like me to focus in on.
Well, I mean, you know, that was sort of the idea of asking you here. As I mentioned, you know, a lot of people don't really understand the struggle and how quickly it becomes normalized to be out there on the streets. I mean, you talk about some of the things that you're not proud of doing, but what was the thing that really, you know, made you want to change? Or was it the people? Was it inside you? I mean, we'll get to the book in a minute, but I mean, just sort of what was there an experience that you had?
I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just, you know, just walking around the streets at night, not knowing if you're going to get robbed, mugged, whatever, you know, going to jail. Just so you know, I'm a 12-time convicted felon. But today, I have Thanksgiving dinner with my ex-probation officer. Yeah, that's how good of friends we are today.
Yeah.
He's even in the book that I wrote. But it was just, I would have to say too, it was God. God said, hey, the Heights Club is there. Why don't you go in and try and get clean and sober? And I did. And you know, at the time, I thought I was hallucinating because I was hearing voices and stuff like that.
You were already experiencing schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia at that point, and psychosis beyond anything you could believe. But you know.
And was this mostly because of your substances, or?
It's totally because of the substance abuse. Take away the drugs and alcohol, and I'm completely mentally sound.
Yeah.
But the minute I put in a drug or alcohol in my body, something changes. There's a chemical reaction that happens for this guy that just goes, okay, I need to go steal, I need to cause chaos, I need to, you know, I lost my family. I asked my daughter to borrow money for drugs, and she said no, and I said, well, then I never want to talk to you again, to my own daughter. And she said, well, I never want to talk to you again. And I can't believe, like, I would die for my daughter, but yet I couldn't stop using drugs or alcohol for her.
Right.
You see, and so that's how powerful the drugs are today, and especially with the drugs we have on the street today, it's insane. But these people don't even know they're sick.
Yeah.
So how do we get them to get farther enough away from the drugs and alcohol so that they can realize that they're in this situation?
And what have you found, or what have you been able to do to really bridge that?
Well, I work with at the Heights Club. We work with people. The meetings. You know, it's we say one alcoholic helping another alcoholic, one drug addict helping another drug addict. It's a 12-step program. That's an anonymous program.
Yeah.
So helping individuals like that, but it really took. I hate to use that term, but it took a village to get me well.
And you're pointing it out. I mean, I find with a lot of these things, even with the unhoused and other stuff, it's really that peer support, talking to someone who's actually been there and understands that struggle. Because again, we have services, we have people out there, you know, offering these things, but again, to actually make that decision and to make that change takes, like you said, a village of support.
Right. And to give you an example of I hate to say what's wrong, but what's wrong with the system is, I'll give you an example. About a year and a half ago, on our property, a guy was shooting heroin, and I saw him, and we're a place where there's recovery, so we can't have people shooting heroin on our property. So we went, and I walked over there to him, and I said, hey, excuse me, man, can you just please leave? You know, don't do that here. And he had just hit, and he was kind of out of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And I said, I need you to please leave. And he freaked out, and he jumped up, and he pulled a knife out on me and wanted to stab me on my own property, on our own property. And so I was like, hey, come on, man. You know, just get off the property. That's all we're asking. And then these two girls were in there trying to, he's this and that. And it turned into a chaotic scene. I ended up calling the police. They found him, arrested him. I went to court for him and everything. And what ended up happening, one day I'm just sitting there at the putting gas, and there goes the guy on a bicycle who tried to stab me. He got out of jail, and I contacted the public defender's office, or well, the DAs, and they said, well, yeah, he got sentenced to drug court, but he never showed. He never showed, and so, you know, I think drug court's a great program, but and when I went to court for this guy, I said I want him to just get help.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to go to prison or anything like that, and but the cycle's right back on. You know, he went right back out, and I could tell he was high as a kite, and so, you know, how do we get him far enough away from the drugs and alcohol that he can go, that's not the life for me, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, you know, I just don't get it. You know, I get it because I live right by Central, and you just see it every day, and
well, and again, you're bringing up some of those things that people talk about a lot, and you know, the officers talk about it as well, as far as just how the and you were joking about it too earlier about you know, just that inability to be held competent enough sometimes because of these situations,
right?
To actually, you know, sometimes that works against the person getting help when they need it.
Right.
So, I mean, definitely there's these, you know, other aspects of the laws and the structure we're dealing with here in Albuquerque, no bail, other things like that have made it sort of a revolving door. But again, for you, finding a way to get better was a journey that, I mean, what other, you were mentioning some of the officers, but what was really the person that sort of helped you start to turn it around?
Well, there's a few, and I'll share a couple of stories. One of the stories that I like to share is I was wanted by the police. Mm-hmm. I was on the news even for my crimes. There was nothing, mine were white collar crimes, making checks, IDs, stuff like that to get money for my stuff. But I was wanted by the police, and everybody knew I was going to go suicide by cop. My mom told him, he's got a gun, he's going to pull it out on you to try and get you to shoot him, everything. So everybody knew that. And so one day the police surrounded the car that I was in, and somehow somebody had told them where I was, and they surrounded the car, and the police officer in front of me had his gun pulled, and he was like, get your hands up, and I had my hoodie on, and so I was like, I'm gonna shoot you, you're gonna have to kill me, and you know, we went back and forth, and I went to go, I swear it was like slow motion, I can still see it today. I could have sworn he was gonna pull the trigger. It was like a movie.
Yeah.
It was like a movie scene. I was getting ready to go back and die and everything. And by the grace of God, they hit the window on the side with something, and it startled me. I tried to pull out, which wasn't a gun, it was my phone. You know, I was pretending I had a gun, and he didn't know that. But anyway, they pulled me out of the car and arrested me, which they, you know, rightfully should. So when this officer went and told my mom, because they went to the house to tell her what happened, he said he didn't shoot me because something in his spirit told me that I didn't have a gun. And when my mom told me that story years later, I was like, wow, that's, you know, because, yeah, I would have shot me.
Right.
I would have shot me, and they would have been totally justified. So looking at that, I over the years, I've looked at that and go, well, he could have shot me. He should have shot me. So maybe all policemen aren't bad. You know, maybe they're not as you know.
It's situational.
Situational. And then another story I like to share is that I had just gotten out of jail. I was put on probation for something. And me and my grandson, it was winter, and we're walking away from a Starbucks. Me and my grandson, my daughter was waiting for us at, she was getting chiropractor work done. And these two police officers start following me, and I know when they're following me. I've been through this. And I was like, oh my God, they think I kidnapped this kid. They probably think I robbed the Starbucks. If I have any police contact, I'm gonna go back to jail. I was in terror. And so all of a sudden they pull up, one pulls like on the curb, the other one's behind me. They get out of the car and they say, who's this little boy with you? And I go, that's my grandson, why, you know? And we're having conversations back and forth, and the police officer says, well, do you like police cars? He asked my grandson, yeah, he says, come with me. So my grandson starts going with this police officer towards his car, and I'm like, I'm gonna punch one of these cops because they're taking my grandkid. If I don't take my grandkid back to my daughter, she'll never let me see him again. Yeah. And so the officer opens up the back door, and I'm like, they're gonna put him in the back of the car. No, what he did, the officer reached in the car, his police car, and he pulled out a car, a remote control car like this big, I'm not kidding, bigger than my grandson, and said, hey, it's Christmas time, we just want to do something nice for, me and my partner do something nice for the community. And they gave him this gift. And they even was like, this is from your grandpa too, you know, da da da.
Wow.
And so those kind of interactions, unbelievable. I never, you know, like I said, I hated the police. And then it started to change my perception. And then I started looking at my behavior and the behaviors that some of these, and forgive me, but some of our community leaders are telling our kids and our young people, like, you don't have to show them ID, you don't have to do this,
right.
You don't have to comply, you can do. They're the ones, those community leaders who are telling our kids that, are getting them new charges, they're getting them caught up in situations that they don't need to be.
Yeah.
You know, we need to teach people to have respect for one another, not fight the police, you know, because I tell the people that I work with, like some of the guys I work with, I go, if your grandma gets robbed, who are you going to call, your gangster buddies? You're not going to call your gangster buddy, you're going to call the police.
Right.
You know, so start having some respect and some love for them. That's why I was really glad you called me on, because I really want to make that clear that some of those community leaders are getting our kids hurt and new charges, and it breaks my heart because I was that person.
Yeah.
And so we need to change the narrative that, you know, we've got some good people out there. You know?
Well, and tell us, well, what were the steps? What helped you? Not only, you know, you were saying, you know, I guess we'll get into the idea of the book too. But like you, one of the things that we talked about initially is like wanting to change and having a house or getting off the street, and so, and that was one of the things I taught. How'd you manifest those things?
Yeah, well, I used the God box.
Yeah,
that's the book that I'm pushing. But no, I just so you know, 6 years later, I own my own home. I have 2 cars paid for. The house is paid for. Everything. I have a lovely wife. Hi, Christy. I have a lovely wife. And married. And I got all those things that I used to dream about, cry about when I was homeless. I would cry saying, I want friends, you know, because I had nobody. Even homeless people would make fun of me and go, they would say, I don't mean to cuss, but it's the only way to do it. That's like, at least I have a tent, you mother.
Yeah,
you
okay,
you don't even have a tent, dude. And I'd be like, I know, I can't even be homeless right. I can't even survive homeless. But today I have all those stuff because I looked at, first of all, I had to get clean and sober.
Right.
And then I had to look at what part I played in all this.
Right.
See, I am responsible for 99% of all that misery that I put myself through. And it's not till, like, you know, like I said, good judges, prohibition officers, police officers, and caring people of the community came to my rescue.
And getting clean, was that through one of the nonprofits here, the Heights Club, or like how?
The Heights Club is where I go to meetings every day.
Right.
And I still go to meetings every day. But I'll give a shout out to Healthcare for the Homeless here, because that's where I found that's where I was seeing doctors.
Yeah.
Dr. Green there, and she was awesome. Yeah. And Miss Glass was where I was getting my psychiatry stuff. And Adam over there, Adam sat with me one day for a couple hours because I was in a state of shock. So people started to care until I could care for myself.
Right.
And they made the difference. Once those people said, hey, you're worth something, you're worth being saved, then I did. And then it just, you have to put in the work, though. You know, if you're going to get clean and sober, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
You have to do something, go into a rehab, go to detox, go to mats, get away from it enough, and then come see us at the Heights Club, where we have meetings that'll try and help you stay clean and sober.
And again, that journey is different for every person who embarks on it. I mean, that time of sort of, you know, going to meetings and convincing yourself that you want something better takes a while. How long was it for you?
You know, I like to say that happened overnight, but it was years of using, trying back and forth. I tried to get clean and sober probably at least 10 times. Okay. Like I was arrested, like I would say 8 different times where I picked up those felonies. And then I would come out of jail and I'd be clean and sober and I would do my probation. And the minute I'd get off probation, I was back out. And sometimes I wouldn't even wait till probation. That's why I had the same probation officer 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I would go and I would mess up. And thank God for Anthony Rodolfo. He would tell him, hey, I'll work with him. I'll work with him. He's worth saving.
Well, and did you get clean before you got housing, or did you find housing? And like, because that's another one of the issues with the individuals. Do we help someone? Would you help someone get sober first, or do you get them housing first? What do you?
You got to get them sober first. You because for me, in fact, as my stepson's over there, I was sharing with him today. I had a beautiful apartment right down the street here, where they gave me housing for $200. I was paying $200, brand new apartment. Some years back, they had a program.
Vouchers, or?
It was through some government program.
Okay. Yeah.
And all I could get that for as long as I stayed there. I could have it, and I was getting my disability check for $900. I couldn't even make the $200 payment. I ended up getting kicked out because I would spend it all on drugs, alcohol.
Yeah.
You got to get them clean and sober. And then there's things like Hoffman Hall, places like that where people can go and live sober.
Yeah.
They have roommates and stuff, but Turning Point, I think, is another good one. Yeah. They have some good programs where like 8 men live or women live in the house.
Yeah.
And then they stay sober and then they progress up.
It's up to the housing.
Yeah, but you have to get clean and sober because then you just have a house that you can get high in. And you know,
and that tends to be what happens. And as far as like we talked about, sort of having that village of support. Did you have mental health professionals, other people you had mentioned that? Because again, the getting sober is one thing. What mental health obstacles were there?
That was where I was referring to, like places like healthcare for the homeless, place like that. I was going once a week to see a therapist there. And I'm telling you, it was, and one of the biggest things at Healthcare for the Homeless was the art therapy.
I've seen their class.
Yeah, you would think like, when the friends asked me to go to art therapy, because that's how I started there at Healthcare for the Homeless, I was like, this is stupid. Like, how's this going to do anything for me?
Right.
But I went every day doing art, and Christina was there then, and she would listen to me. And then through there, I started going to the other, and now I love art therapy, and it's really saved my life. Well, this whole community, I think Albuquerque gets a bad rap because we're last in a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you're sober and trying, you can find a lot of people who will help you.
Well, you mentioned Healthcare for the Homeless a lot, and that Art Street program
I love them.
Is definitely one of those things. It's open to the community. Anybody can go in there, and I am someone who definitely feels like that kind of therapy is a good thing to help you sort of sort out your thoughts when you're going through a difficult time.
Right.
And definitely it's nice to hear that something like that was helping you.
And another important thing that I want your listeners and people watching to know is that even though you have a mental illness, I had a mental illness of psychosis that, like I said, you wouldn't even probably believe if I told you. But I still didn't have to drink or use. See, a lot of people go, well, they're medicating with that. No, you know, it really is for me, it was a choice. I had a choice, take the meds that the doctors told me
Right.
and stay clean and sober, or go back to the old thing, medicate with meth and fentanyl and all that. So it is possible to stay clean and sober with a mental illness, because I did it, and if I can do it, coming from where I was, anybody could do it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, well, and again, it was getting the treatment, getting the medications that you needed, and again, that process is something that a lot of people don't have the patience to deal with. But what do you think made you stick to it?
Because I found a wonderful life, man. I found a wonderful life. Like I have, referring to our guest up there, I have cancer right now. Mm-hmm. I have a cancer that's there's no cure for. It's multiple myeloma. There's no cure for it. And you know how many people from my 12-step program and the people that I've met who have just came out and just they just love me and take care of me. They give me rides to places. My stepson gives me rides everywhere. And the loving community that I've found now that I have this cancer is like, I don't look at my cancer as like, oh my God, this is a horrible thing. I look at it as a blessing because I got to see how many beautiful people there are in Albuquerque, how many people really care and love other people in this program. And it's because of places like the Heights Club, where I met a lot of these people, different programs. I met a lot of people through Arch Street who were homeless, who are not homeless anymore. I just can't even tell you how much I love my city, because they always fight for an underdog. They really do. And I'm one of those underdogs who have succeeded. And now my purpose in life is to share my experience, strength, and hope with others. So others, like mothers and fathers who have kids on the streets, there is hope. Yeah. There really is hope. And there's a blueprint to get there, you know. But we have to get them off the streets, off the drugs. They don't even know they're sick. Man, I wish I could scream it to the world and that, hey, we need some kind of place where we can keep them away away from that for a while.
Yeah. And again, I know the city is trying to open these other shelters, and specifically family shelters are sort of a key component there, because to helping those people with kids, you're helping generations get better. Right. Well, and again, the book, we brought it here. Tell us more about how writing this book was sort of a journey for you. Right,
it was a journey. I write screenplays and one day I watched something and they said, well, instead of writing a screenplay, why don't you write a book? I was like, yeah, maybe I'll write a book. I can't spell, I can't put a sentence together, but as a drug addict, alcoholic, I can tell a good story. But basically what happened was my wife told me, she says, hey, I use a God box because I was dealing with some stress from my brother was having medical issues, and I was like, I don't know what to do, honey. And she says, why don't you try a God box? She said, get a box, write God box, and that's the one, this is actually my first God box, so I wrote God box on there. And she said, put your brother's name in there and ask God to take care of it. Yeah. And I go, that's stupid. I did. I said, that's stupid. That's not going to work. She said, just try it. So I did, and I kid you not, the next day, my brother's medical stuff situated, took care of itself right away. And I was like, oh, well, let me try with something else. So I said, I need transportation. Me and my wife were taking the bus everywhere. And this is no kidding. Somebody from the Heights Club found out that we didn't have a car. They came to us after I put that in my God box. They didn't know, nobody knew, but he came to me and said, me and my wife, and said, hey, I know you guys are walking everywhere. Let me buy a car, and then you guys can just make payments to me, and when I go, you're gonna just give us a car, let's make the payments. And he said, yeah, no interest, no nothing. I just want to see you guys, not drive. We were taking the bus, and I had been beat up at the bus stop. I got jumped by some guy too, and he heard about that. So it got us a car. And in fact, that's the car we came in today. And again, when I say I own a house, 2 cars, I don't have nothing fancy. We live in the international zone, the war zone, whatever you want to call it. But so the writing, it started to work. So I was like, I got to share this with other people.
Yeah.
And so now I wrote the book, and it really has changed my life. And some people go, well, yeah, but you got cancer. You know, how can that be a good thing? You know, with your God box and stuff like that. Well, you know what? Because God has taught me how to deal with it. Like I said, I don't look at it as a curse. I look at it as a blessing because I got to see everything, and you know, and now they're going to do a stem cell transplant on me, hopefully in January or February, from UNM. But I know it might sound like a silly idea, but try a God box. I'm not kidding you. Just write down God box on any box, and whatever problems you're dealing with, put it in there.
Yeah.
And so I asked the mayor to support me. I have a picture of him looking at my book, but that's as far as he'd go.
Well, yeah. I mean, even when we talked before, part of what I enjoyed about the story was, again, I'm not a religious person, but the spiritual idea of it too. As a creative person, an actor, I think when we talked about it, I talked about manifesting and just your ability when you have issues. Sometimes, you know, having that idea or that thought and trying to maintain that positive attitude about it is the hardest thing.
Right.
And it seems like this God box was the thing that really helped you maintain that positive attitude through some very difficult times.
Yeah, and when writing the book, it kept me busy, because for the alcoholic drug addict who's coming, who's getting clean and sober, your mind is constantly racing. It's trying to find reasons to go back out. It's doing all these other things. And for me, it was a good release, because when you're writing, as you know, when you're writing, you're just focused in on that.
Yeah.
And there's other stories of people who used it. One lady, my friend Michelle, she used it for her son, who was out of control, and she said almost overnight it changed. And there's many stories like that in the book. But you know, this, you know, you can get it on Amazon, and I'd appreciate any support anybody could get, but I'm really not even here about the book. I am just so blessed that my city, I love my city so much, it hurts me to see the disarray it's in.
Well, and that's what, when we talked, I keep saying when we talked before, but I mean, when we met, I mean, I grew up here as well. I have a lot of fond memories of what Albuquerque used to feel like. And definitely, you know, even going to high school at Highland in that area, the international district, I've definitely seen a lot of changes there that, you know, unfortunately have to do with the very thing we're talking about for you, some generational trauma and cultural things around substance abuse that we really have to, you know, not only, you know, we offer, you know, support, but we have to find a way to give people that positive outlook.
Well, yeah, and it's like our bus system here. I tell people, would you put your grandmother on that central bus by herself? Yeah. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. I wouldn't send. I hate to be on that bus.
Yeah.
And I'm a grown man who's 6'3".
Yeah.
It's gotten to be where common sense isn't even common anymore, that we go, oh, well, let's let them do whatever they want. And I have compassion for the homeless. I was homeless, but I can speak about this. We take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many food places now that open, and I'm saying homeless people have to eat, don't get me wrong. But we knew where to go, when to get the food, how to get the food.
Right.
We knew how to work the corners. We know how to steal to get our stuff. And some of these places are not helping. Yeah. They're hurting. They're enabling. That's our problem. We're enabling them to.
Well, and along those lines, like part of what, you know, I always try to understand is when you're out on the street, you're in trauma mode all the time. You're in survival mode all the time. Right. So I mean, they're really, you know, the idea of doing those things to, you know, satisfy the addiction is second nature.
Right, right. But when you see, and I'm sure you and some of the people watching see this, there'll be somebody on the corner trying to hustle up some money who is obviously so mentally ill.
Yeah.
And you're giving this person money to go get, you know they're going to go get drugs with it.
Yeah.
So you're actually, that's like giving them a loaded gun and going, here, I know you're in a state of hurt, but I'm going to give you a loaded gun so you can deal with it. Because when you give them money, the first place they go is to get the drugs. And with the drugs we have on the street today, that's
It
like
is,
giving them a
yeah,
loaded gun.
yeah.
You don't know if it's loaded with
Gonna
fentanyl.
kill them, yeah. Well,
So-
my next session is gonna be with New Mexico, Keep New Mexico Alive, and their fentanyl awareness. But even as I was mentioning to you, they're adding alcohol as part of what they're trying to deal with these days.
Please, as as someone who was on the streets, stop giving them money. If you want to help, take them go to get them a burger or something.
Actual
give them,
food,
food. Give them a blanket. Get them something to drink. But stop giving them money. That you are now part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because you know. And it might make you feel good. Oh, I helped this homeless person. Yeah. No, you're helping to destroy their lives. I'm telling you, that's what. It's such a passion of mine.
Well, and again, it's one of those things that, yeah, especially this time of year, you see people, you might feel bad for them and want to help out, but you know there are other ways of sort of trying to find ways to help and
Go give your money to health care for the homeless.
Well, yeah, I was going to say. While we had with the conversation going here, I just wanted to give anybody an opportunity to ask some questions of Mark and Mike's commenting there. He carries food bags and bottles of water all the time. He's one of the people who likes to go out there and engage with the unhoused and try to offer something other than money. So, any questions about Mark's story? You can shout them out or raise your hand or. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
So by the way, the book is on Amazon. It's for $9.79. Yeah. I already ordered it.
Thank you.
So it's on its way. And one of the issues you talk about giving money, there was a homeless person a few years back. He needed money for food, and I said, "Well, let me go buy you a sandwich. What do you like?" And he goes, "I don't want that. I want the money." And I go, "Well, then you're not hungry." And I didn't give him anything. So one of the things we've had at Echo Sessions, where there's been a lot of people in different, walks of life and incidents that they're going through. When one of the recurring themes that comes up is no one was listening to me, and finally someone listened. Did that change your perspective to trust people because you felt you were finally being listened to and heard?
Probably we're not going to people might not like this answer, but that's just an excuse. That's just an excuse that I would use to feel sorry for myself. Nobody's listening to me. If you would only listen to me, then things would be different. No, you're a drug addict, alcoholic. Your problem is the drugs. I see some of these videos and stuff like that where they're going, do you need this? What do you need? I need housing. I need somebody just to listen. You do need somebody to listen, but it needs to be a trained professional psychiatrist or something like that who can help you get to the right place. A lot of these times they're just talking about I don't even know how to explain it, but that was more of a mechanism for me to get you to feel, and whoever's watching to feel sorry for me.
Well, and we were talking about that too in the stories, just when you're in that addiction, lying and some of these things become second nature, and you were talking about different times that you would manipulate the situation to make sure that you could get what you needed.
Right, and that's the biggest thing is that we are good, and I say we, as a homeless and a drug addict, are good at manipulating people. That's how we get our stuff. That's, some people are spending 30, 40, 50 bucks a day at least on their drugs, and how do you think they get it? If they're not stealing, they're panhandling, doing all that. It's not about, if we listened to them, we would be giving them a free housing to do their drugs. Yeah. We'd be giving them EBT so they can buy all their food, which is, all those are great, but not unless you're clean and sober. If you're not clean and sober, they're selling their EBT for drugs. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys knew that, but
We
yeah.
talked about that. Well, in fact, that sort of James asked the question, you know, on what do you feel just about what is happening in the country? What are we doing wrong, and with getting people off the street and into shelter? And what do you think might be a better solution?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because me and a
It
couple.
wasn't me, James. That was
Thank
James's
you, James.
question.
Because me and we had this community, a few of me and my friends got together at Christy May's restaurant, excellent restaurant, and had this conversation. What we think would help, being from that population, is, okay, first time you get caught with drugs or alcohol, you go into a 30-day program.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're on the streets, 30-day program. Then, you know, there's services that'll help you get into a halfway house, a recovery house. Well, let's say you don't make it. Well, the next time you go 60 days. And then the next time you go 6 months. Because apparently and then maybe that 6 months is long enough to get you away from it. And then if not, a year. Because until you get away from the drugs and alcohol long enough, you're not gonna, it's just gonna, that cycle's gonna repeat.
Right. Well, and again, then that raises the question of forcing people to get treatment or violating their rights.
See,
I mean, that's where the conversation starts to happen. But I mean, we're getting to a point where, you know.
You could give them their choice. You can go to jail. Well, like, you know, we have the National Guard that's out. Well, why don't the National Guard set up some tents and some recovery places where you have a choice? You can go to the National Guard place where they're going to try and teach you how to get clean and sober and live a good life and social skills and stuff like that. Or you can go to jail, one of the two. But they go to jail and then they're out right away, and then it's such a vicious cycle that all we're doing is allowing them to stack charges till it's enough to go to prison.
Right. And then, you know, I imagine, you know, when you have those charges and you're out there, that it builds to your sense of hopelessness or your inability to see that you can improve. So I mean,
and don't get me wrong, there's situations that aren't drug and alcohol, but
course,
I guarantee you, I would say 90% of the people on Central right now who are homeless, it's a drug and alcohol problem. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not I don't have a place to live. It's not a place. It's they have that problem, and it's not even that they don't want to get well. Is they don't even know that they're that sick.
Yeah.
And you know, forcing them, you know, that's a touchy subject because you know, we think it's right, but you know, I don't know. It's just, I would rather see them somewhere safe than out on the streets where they're getting beat, raped, jumped.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I imagine there's just a lot of victimization that goes along with just being out there, and that's one of the things where I try to understand that choice of staying on the streets where your jeopardy is so much higher. But, you know, it really must be a sense of hopelessness for someone to make that choice.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who fight that the way that I look at it, well, they don't live there. They don't walk down Central. They don't live in that community. I guarantee you, go walk by yourself down that community, Mr. Joe and Joe Smith that live in the Heights and who are saying, oh, well, the homeless have rights and they have this. They do have rights. But so do the kids that I see walking over needles, walking by people having sex at the bus stop. Those kids have rights too, don't they?
Yeah.
So whose rights do we want? Our youth and people like that, or people who are breaking the law in front of everybody?
Yeah.
So you can call it forced, but you know, in the end, I guarantee you, by the end, they'll be thanking you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's unfortunate that we've come to that point, that's the discussion, but definitely, you know, as you're pointing out, a lot of these people are not able to make healthy decisions for themselves.
Common sense has gone out the window in these discussions anymore.
Yeah.
Like you know, like going back to the giving somebody who's mentally ill, who's a drug addict, money. Like, what world would you possibly think that's okay?
Well, yeah, and unfortunately in our world today, that it happens too often.
Right.
But yeah, we've sort of come to the end here. I just wanted to see if there were any other questions for Mark today. I really enjoyed just sitting here having a chat with you about this because, again, I feel hearing from someone who's gone through it is really important information for people to digest.
Yeah, and please, anybody out there, Darryl knows how to get a hold of me. I would love to speak to anybody who will listen. I would, that's my purpose now, is to share my experience, strength, and hope, because I lived it. I know what I'm talking about. This isn't made up. I know what and I have, like I said, judges who will give me reference letters, anything.
Yeah.
But anybody who would like me to speak, please, because this is my passion now, is I want to get our city back to where it was.
Yeah, well, and again, it's not an easy subject to talk about either. People, like we're saying, incarceration, punitive, denying rights, all this stuff, but ultimately we're just trying to help our community. We want, yeah, I mean, and unfortunately what we see on the streets is, it's not something most people are comfortable even trying to approach or deal with. So at least hearing from someone, it might make that approach a little easier.
And a final thought for me is, like, if you have any interaction with the police, just comply. Just comply. It's not a big deal. You're not that tough. You're not that. Just do what they say, and it'll be over so quick.
Well, and as you're pointing out, because of the courts, you'll just get
back out anyway.
You'll be back out in an hour, and
Right.
be right back at it.
But thank you for having me on, Darryl.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, and again, we'll revisit this in the new year, and hopefully find out more about the Heights Club and other, maybe some other stories, other people too.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Mark.
Thank you, everybody.
And yeah, next session, I don't have my paperwork in front of me. Anyway, but I'll send you an invite. And also, if you're not already registered, please take the time. I'll be bugging some of you to make sure you're signed up for the new IECO in the new year. We have one more session in December. That's what I was trying to remember. I'll have one more session in December. That will be hopefully dealing with the Mexican consulate and some immigration issues.
Ooh.
And we will make sure that everybody gets registered for the new year. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the nice fall weather we're having, and be safe.
Thank you for joining us. We welcome your suggestions regarding any scenario involving future public safety ECHO sessions. For more information, visit www.cabq.gov/echo.